If you've ever wondered why some people in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s seem to have more energy, clearer skin, and fewer health complaints than people half their age, the answer might have less to do with expensive treatments or rare supplements, and more to do with something they do in the very first minutes of their morning. Before the phone, before breakfast, before anything else, they reach for the right drink, and that single habit, repeated day after day, quietly does something that most people never think about until it's too late. It protects the kidneys. And what makes this idea even more interesting is that it doesn't come from complicated routines or rare knowledge. It comes from something extremely simple, something almost anyone can do, but most people never really pay attention to. Now here's something most doctors don't say out loud in a way that really lands. Some organs in your body can heal themselves. The liver, for example, is remarkable. Damage it today, and given the right conditions and enough time, it can slowly rebuild itself. But the kidneys are a different story. What the kidneys lose, they almost never recover. Those tiny filtering units inside them, once damaged, are gone. And that might sound alarming at first, but flip it around and you'll find something surprisingly hopeful hidden in that fact. If treatment can't do much after the damage is done, then protection becomes everything. And protection doesn't require a prescription or a clinic visit. It begins at home, in your kitchen, with the very first thing you put into your body each morning. And that idea alone changes how you look at something as ordinary as a morning routine. Because suddenly, the first drink of the day doesn't feel small anymore. It feels important in a quiet, steady way. So today, we're going to walk through 6 drinks, all made from ordinary ingredients you can find in any grocery store. All easy on the budget, and all quietly powerful in the way they support kidney health. We're counting down from number 6 all the way to number 1, and I promise you, the drink sitting at the top of that list is going to surprise you. Most people walk right past it every single day without realizing what it does. So stay with me to the end, because that one is worth waiting for. And as we go through each one, try not to think of them as separate tricks or isolated ideas. Think of them as small habits that stack together over time, each one adding a little more support than the last. Let's begin with number 6, and it's a drink that's been getting a lot of attention lately, though people have mixed feelings about the taste. Celery stalk juice. If you've only ever seen celery sitting on the side of a plate as a garnish, you've been underestimating it. Inside those pale green stalks is a concentrated set of natural compounds that do something very specific and very important for the kidneys. They help calm inflammation, not the sharp, sudden kind of inflammation you feel when you sprain an ankle, but the slow, quiet, chronic kind that builds up over years without any obvious symptoms, the kind that works in the background, steadily wearing down organs and blood vessels without ever announcing itself. That low-grade inflammation is one of the primary forces silently working against your kidneys over time. Celery contains natural substances that help interrupt that process, reducing the constant background pressure on the kidneys day after day. And what most people don't realize is that this kind of slow internal stress often goes unnoticed for years, because it doesn't always come with clear warning signs at the beginning. Beyond that, celery is a natural source of both potassium and magnesium, 2 minerals that play a direct role in keeping fluid levels balanced inside the body and supporting healthy blood pressure. As we'll talk about more in a moment, is deeply connected to kidney health. To make celery juice, just take a few fresh stalks, rinse them well, and run them through a juicer or a blender. If the raw, grassy flavor feels too strong on its own, a slice of apple or a squeeze of lemon juice softens it nicely. Drink 1 glass in the morning, slowly. 1 glass alone won't transform everything. But paired with a habit of eating less salt, it becomes a steady, reliable form of protection that adds up quietly over time. And like many simple habits, the real impact is not in what happens immediately, but in what it may support consistently over weeks, months, and even longer periods. Now number 5 has a color that immediately tells you something powerful is inside. Beet juice. That deep, rich crimson isn't just striking to look at. It signals the presence of natural compounds in beets that do something your kidneys desperately depend on. They help your blood vessels relax and widen, allowing blood to flow more freely. And when blood can move more easily, The internal pressure placed on delicate organs is naturally reduced, which matters more than most people realize in everyday health. Beets are one of the richest natural sources of dietary nitrates, which the body uses to keep blood pressure within a healthy range. And here is why that matters so profoundly for the kidneys. High blood pressure is one of the leading causes of kidney damage on the planet, and it often develops silently without obvious early symptoms. Inside each kidney, there are millions of microscopic filtering vessels, incredibly delicate structures doing an enormous amount of work every single day without rest. When blood pressure stays elevated day after day, those fragile vessels are slowly worn down, like a hose left under too much pressure for too long. At first, the damage is invisible, nothing feels different. But over time, that constant strain builds up and the efficiency of the filtering process begins to decline. Beet juice, by gently supporting normal blood pressure, directly shields those structures from that ongoing damage. It doesn't force anything suddenly. It works more like a steady background support, helping the body maintain balance rather than pushing it in an extreme direction. To make it, peel and chop one small raw beet, then juice it, or mix it with carrot or apple juice to make the flavor more approachable. The liquid is intensely concentrated, so most people dilute it with a little water. Start with half a glass and see how your body responds. One thing worth knowing is that beet juice can make your urine appear pinkish or reddish. This is completely harmless and temporary, just the pigment from the beet passing through your system. But there is one important mistake that many people, especially those over 60, tend to make when they start drinking beet juice regularly. It usually comes down to thinking that more is better and increasing the amount too quickly instead of allowing the body to adjust gradually. And that small misunderstanding is often where discomfort begins, even with something otherwise simple. Now, number 4 is probably the most unexpected entry on this entire list, not because it's exotic or hard to find, but because most people discard it without a second thought every single time they cook corn. Corn silk tea. Those fine thread-like strands you peel away from a corn cob before tossing them in the bin have been used in traditional medicine across many cultures for centuries to support the kidneys and the urinary tract. The reason they've held on to that reputation for so long is because they genuinely have something to offer. Corn silk has a soothing effect on the urinary passages, gently easing irritation and supporting the overall health of the bladder and the channels that fluid travels through on its way out of the body. It also contains antioxidants, compounds that help protect cells from the kind of damage that accumulates quietly over years. And like many traditional remedies, it has been valued less for dramatic immediate effects and more for the steady supportive role it plays over time. To make the tea, take the fresh silk from 1 or 2 cobs, or a small handful of dried silk if fresh isn't available. Place it in a pot with about 2 cups of water, bring it to a gentle boil, and let it simmer for around 10 minutes. Then take it off the heat, cover the pot, and let it steep for another 10 minutes before straining it. What you'll end up with is a mild golden tea with a light, slightly sweet flavor that's easy to enjoy. A small drop of honey makes it even more pleasant. The remarkable thing here is that this remedy was sitting in your kitchen all along, and you were throwing it away every single time without knowing what you had. Number 3 is one of the most refreshing options on this list, and its real power lies in something deceptively simple: cucumber water. Because what the kidneys need more than almost anything else is steady, reliable hydration, and most people are chronically falling short of it without realizing it. When the body doesn't have enough water, the blood becomes thicker and more concentrated, forcing the kidneys to work significantly harder to do the same filtering job. Over time, that chronic low-level dehydration quietly raises the risk of serious problems, including the formation of kidney stones. And what makes this especially important is that dehydration doesn't always feel like dehydration. Many people go through their entire day slightly underhydrated without ever noticing it, because the body adapts to that lower baseline over time. Cucumber is composed of nearly 95% water, making it one of the most hydrating foods in existence. Adding cucumber slices to a pitcher of water makes it more pleasant and appealing to drink throughout the day, which means you'll actually do it more consistently. And that consistency is exactly what the kidneys need. Not sudden changes, not extreme shifts, but steady support repeated over time. It also adds a very subtle freshness to the water, which might seem small, but small sensory changes often influence how often people actually drink something without thinking about it. This is also the right moment to address that mistake I mentioned when we were talking about beet juice, because it applies here too. And it's something that trips up a lot of people over 60. When people read about detoxing or cleansing the kidneys, they often assume that the more fluid they push through, the better. So they start drinking diuretic juices and teas by the liter several times a day, thinking they're flushing everything out and doing their kidneys a favor. But that's actually backwards. Overloading the system with excessive diuretics creates unnecessary strain and can lead to dehydration despite all that liquid. The kidneys don't need aggressive flushing. They need calm, steady, balanced hydration. Cucumber water is a perfect example of that approach because it supports a gentle, stable fluid balance rather than trying to force everything out at once. To make it, just slice a fresh cucumber and drop the slices into a pitcher of cold water. Let it sit overnight in the refrigerator. In the morning, add a few mint leaves or a thin slice of lemon, and you have something genuinely pleasant to sip throughout the day. And the real value comes not from the recipe itself, but from how easily it fits into a routine you can actually maintain. Number 2 is a drink that earns its place on this list for a reason that rarely gets mentioned in conversations about kidney health. Warm water with apple cider vinegar and honey. Yes, the vinegar and honey do contribute something useful on their own. The vinegar gently supports digestion, and the honey adds a natural sweetness without causing the sharp blood sugar spike that refined sugar does. But here's the deeper benefit that most people overlook. This drink is a replacement. It takes the place of something far more damaging. The sweetened coffee, the fruit juice, the soda, or the flavored drink that so many people habitually reach for first thing in the morning. And that replacement effect is often more important than any single ingredient inside the drink itself, because it changes a long-term pattern rather than just adding something new on top of it. That morning sugar hit, repeated every single day for years, quietly damages the tiny filtering vessels inside the kidneys in exactly the same way that high blood pressure does. Swapping it for this simple, warm drink removes that daily insult from your system without asking you to give up your morning ritual entirely. It's not about restriction, but about substitution in a way that still feels familiar. To make it correctly, stir exactly 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar into a large glass of warm water. Add 1 teaspoon of honey and mix until it dissolves. Drink it slowly before breakfast. Always use it heavily diluted. Never drink vinegar on its own. And after you finish the glass, rinse your mouth with plain water to protect your tooth enamel from the acid. Small precautions like this are what make simple habits safer and more sustainable over time. And now we've arrived at number 1, the drink that tops this entire list. The one with a clear, specific, scientifically explainable mechanism that sets it apart from every other option here. Warm lemon water. Not because it's trendy or because it tastes good, but because of one particular compound found in lemon that does something nothing else on this list does quite so directly. Lemon is exceptionally high in citrate, a naturally occurring substance that binds with calcium in the urine and prevents it from clumping together into the hard crystals that kidney stones are made of. This isn't a vague, general benefit. It's a targeted, well-understood process. Lemon water reduces the risk of kidney stone formation by interrupting the very mechanism through which stones develop. Anyone who has experienced a kidney stone understands exactly how significant that protection is, because it's not just discomfort, it's one of the most intense types of pain the body can experience. Beyond citrate, lemon is also rich in vitamin C, which acts as an antioxidant inside the body, helping to protect kidney cells from the kind of oxidative damage that accumulates invisibly over decades. And again, the importance is not in any single sip, but in what happens when this becomes a daily pattern rather than an occasional choice. To make it, squeeze the juice of half a lemon into a glass of warm or room temperature water, not boiling, just comfortably warm. Drink it first thing in the morning, before you eat anything else. And then rinse your mouth with plain water afterward, just as with the vinegar drink, to protect your enamel. That small extra step is often what separates a helpful habit from one that creates unintended problems over time. That's it. 30 seconds of preparation, a few cents per glass, and a habit that delivers something genuinely meaningful for your kidneys every single morning. The most protective drink on this entire list turned out to be the most affordable one too. Not a supplement, not a powder, not something ordered online. Just half an ordinary lemon, the kind you can find in any market anywhere in the world for almost nothing. So there you have it. 6 drinks, 6 morning habits, all built from ingredients most people already have or can easily afford. None of them are magic, and none of them replace the importance of a good diet, regular movement, or medical care when it's needed. But together, practiced consistently, they represent something that truly matters for kidney health. Steady daily protection, starting from the very first sip of the morning.